Aaron.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
You done messed up, Aaron!
Aaron is here, everyone. Guys, once again, it's not me who done messed up, I swear. Danny Masterson done messed up. Guys, who would have known that this much brouhaha could be coming up at this point? All we're waiting is for Danny to be transferred to prison, and yet no. We are about 3 weeks away from Judge Charlene Almeida looking to issue search warrants for raids on the homes of Danny Masterson's family members to find his missing weapons. In 2020, when Danny Masterson was arraigned, he was ordered to turn over all of his weapons, either sell them all, to relinquish all of them to law enforcement, or to turn them over to a licensed dealer for safekeeping. Nobody knew until now, because his then attorney, Thomas Mesro, submitted the so-called compliance to this order to the then judge under seal. So nobody knew until now that of Danny Masterson's 23 firearms, we're talking about an arsenal, shotguns, handguns, rifles, a crazy arsenal. Of his 23 weapons, 10 of them had never been turned over. And this came to light. I did a short video about this last night, but just to recap, this came to light because one of the forms that had to be completed before Danny Masterson could be sent from jail to prison was a form completely detailing all of his weapons and the fact that they were completely officially out of his control, sold, destroyed, relinquished, whatever. And on September 7th, when Danny Masterson was sentenced, his attorney, Philip Cohen, said, Your Honor, we'll have that document to you in about a week. That was September, October, November, 2 months ago. The judge is saying, where's the form? The defense team could never provide the form. So the probation department completed their investigation into this, and the judge said, we've got probable cause that Danny Masterson has not surrendered his firearms. And he cannot be sent to prison until this matter is resolved. There was a hearing this morning where Masterson's attorney, one of his attorneys, Kate Mangles, who just, by the way, just happens to be the daughter of David Miscavige's attorney. Coincidence? I think not. Kate Mangles showed up to court. She was expected to make, some kind of an argument that really, the guns, the whole thing's resolved. Not a big deal. Nothing to see here. Instead, what she said was, well, Your Honor, I know it's 10 firearms, but one of those firearms was reported as destroyed. Huh? Look, I've got my own firearms. I don't personally know how a firearm ends up destroyed. I just don't. I don't claim to say it's not possible. I just don't understand. Maybe some guys on the live chat can help me understand. How does a weapon end up destroyed? I don't know. And Kate Mangles said that the other 9 firearms had been turned over to a family member. Huh? What? That's not what Danny was supposed to do. By the way, if they were really just turned over to the family member, then what's the problem getting the report done? What's the problem? Sell them, turn them over to law enforcement, turn them into a dealer, auction them on eBay. Like, I know you can't do that. What's the problem? Guys, help me understand this. To me, there seems like 2 possible explanations, at least the only 2 that immediately come to my mind, for why somebody would just, sorry, I buried the lead. Kate Mangles said the firearms had been turned over to a family member, but now no one knows where they are. They're just missing. We have no idea. Danny Masterson doesn't know. No one knows. They're just missing, guys. They're just missing. Okay. What are some reasons firearms would just disappear? One that I don't think is likely, but let's just talk about the possibility that these firearms had been used in the commission of a crime and subsequently were destroyed so that nothing could be tied to them. Seems unlikely. I don't know. Is Masterson rolling deep with a bunch of organized crime, gang members, doing drive-bys? I don't think so. But there's another piece of information I want to throw out there. Jane Doe 3, who's testified at the pretrial hearing, the first trial, the second trial, countless interviews, had testified that Danny Masterson had a gun safe in the basement where he kept all of his guns, but she was never allowed to be in the basement when he was accessing the safe. He did not want her to know what was in that safe, other than the fact that she knew that the weapons were there. She knew there was a bunch of gold bars in there and some weapons, but he didn't want her to know what else was in the safe. Danny Masterson did not think he was going to prison. Danny Masterson did not think he was going to be found guilty. Danny Masterson did not get his affairs in order because he thought he was going to get off scot-free. Now, when Jane Doe 3 testified to the location of the safe and everything like that, that was Danny Masterson's house on Hollymont Drive or Avenue. I don't know. It's called the Hollymont house. That, by the way, is the house where Danny Masterson committed all of the attacks that he was being tried for. He sold that house in like 2006, 2007. Here's the real question. Where did the safe go? Where did the safe go? And if Danny didn't want Jane Doe 3 to know what was in that safe, I think we can reasonably say he doesn't want Bijou to know what's in that safe. I think we can possibly say he doesn't want anyone to know what's in that safe. I think it stands to reason that nobody has the combo to that safe but Danny. I mean, we are in pure speculation land, but this is at least some, reasonably informed speculation. What's in the safe, Danny? What's in the safe? Now, the fact that Danny's attorney did say on the record that these firearms had been turned over to a family member. Interesting that the family member wasn't mentioned, but that the family member now claims, oh my God, I don't know what happened to them. So now I don't know how the law works, looks at all this stuff. So I'm going to have a chat with my lawyer friend, Zach, on this as well. I'm also going to talk to Tommy Scoville about this. But if you're the judge and you're being told that someone just claims not to have knowledge of the location of the safe or the location of the guns, but it was a family member, the judge did ask the DA to come back on December 7th and give her a list of all possible addresses that could possibly be locations where these firearms could be located. Now, if we already know that a family member was the person that these things were last in possession of, to me, it stands to reason that the DA is going to come with a list of Bijou's addresses, Danny Masterson's family members' addresses, and Danny Masterson's closest friends' addresses. We're talking Graham Brewer. We're talking Chris Wadhams, Jordan Masterson, Chris Masterson, Alana Masterson. We're talking the wine farm or whatever, wine farm, you guys know what it is, in Santa Ynez. We're talking about his mom's house in Glendale. And if everyone's going to be like, Your Honor, what safe? Safe? There was no safe. What? Guns? What guns? Guys, do you think the judge is going to order all these addresses to be raided with search warrants? Because I do. Not only has it been 3 years since Danny was supposed to turn over these weapons, but it's now been 2 months since sentencing, since the judge demanded the report, the official report on the status of all these firearms. And if the best they can do is, Your Honor, we have no idea, then if I'm a betting man, I'm betting a whole bunch of Danny's friends and family members are about to get raided. That's what I think is going to happen. Who could have guessed? Oops. That this much trouble would have come up subsequent to his sentencing. Guys, I mentioned last night, the weapons that he did turn in was 7 handguns, 2 shotguns, 5 rifles. The weapons that he did not turn in was 3 handguns and 6 rifles. Who loses 9 weapons? Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. No judge believes that. No DA believes that. These weapons better magically make an appearance or some doors about to get busted down. Whew. The reason I mention the safe is because these weapons, there is a list, an actual list of the weapons. There is a report, a very complicated report that for various reasons I'm not going to screen share. The weapons that are missing are the weapons that Danny has had in his possession since the early 2000s. Those are the weapons that were in the safe that Jane Doe 3 testified to. The missing weapons are correlated with the safe, the missing safe. The safe, Jane Doe 3 wasn't allowed to know what was in it. By the way, Jane Doe 3 was in a 6-year relationship with Danny Masterson. If he didn't want her to know what was in the safe, he don't want anybody to know what's in that safe. What's in the safe, Danny? What's in the damn safe? All right, let's see what else, if I've missed anything in my notes here. So the only downside here is that the judge basically gave 3 weeks, 3 weeks for the DA to come back with addresses and locations of where these firearms would be suspected to be. That gives Danny's friends and family members 3 weeks to figure out how to hide these weapons or to magically find them under a bed somewhere, or maybe like L. Ron Hubbard's lectures buried in some attic. It sure would be a gosh darn a gosh darn shame if Graham Brewer or Chris Wadhams or Ashton Kutcher were found by the authorities to be changing the location or hiding this safe or any of these firearms. That sure would escalate the situation. You have to wonder whether any law enforcement personnel are keeping an eye on certain addresses to try to catch any of these bad actors, pun intended, to catch any of these bad actors trying to obstruct justice in this issue. I wonder if this would qualify as obstruction of justice. I'll ask my lawyer friend Zach about that. Anyway, wild stuff. We won't know what actually happens on this until December 7th, but that is when we will know. All right, guys, so much coming today. I have an amazing interview that I've been waiting to do actually for years that we're going to do later this afternoon live. So stay tuned for that. Hit that subscribe button, guys. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like button if you don't mind. Thanks for hanging out with me this afternoon. Thank you, as always, to everyone who watches until the very end. And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right